It was the coldest night of the year. Snow covered the streets like a white blanket. The wind was strong and sharp like knives. Most people were inside their warm homes. But one man was outside, alone, freezing. His name was John. John had no home. He lost his job 2 months ago. After that, he could not pay rent. Slowly, his friends stopped picking up his calls. He had no one left. Now, he walked the streets of the city with a thin jacket and wet shoes. His breath came out like smoke. His hands were blue. His legs were shaking. "I can't feel my fingers," he whispered to himself. He sat down near a trash bin, hoping for a little warmth. His eyes were heavy. His body wanted to sleep, but he knew if he slept, he might never wake up. He looked at the people inside a cafe. They were laughing, drinking hot coffee. He smiled a little, then looked away. A single tear rolled down his cheek and froze on his skin. "I don't want to die," he said softly, but the cold was too strong. He leaned back against a wall. His eyes closed slowly. Silence. Then. A sound, soft footsteps. John opened one eye. A woman was standing in front of him. She looked strange. Her clothes were dirty and torn like a homeless person, but her eyes glowed. A soft blue light came from them, even in the darkness. Her skin was pale, almost silver, and her long black hair moved slightly. Even though there was no wind, John tried to speak, but his lips were too cold. She kneeled beside him and touched his hand. "You are freezing." "Human," she said in a calm voice. "Take my heat." Then she hugged him. Tight. John's single quotes eyes went wide. Her body was warm. No, hot, not like fire, but like sunlight. The warmth started from his chest and spread to his arms, his legs, his face. It was like life returning to his frozen body. He wanted to pull away, to ask questions, but his body relaxed. His pain faded. His heart slowed down. His mind felt light. Then darkness. He fainted in her arms. When John opened his eyes, it was morning. The snow was still on the ground, but he wasn't cold. He was lying in an alley. A blanket was over him, and next to him. Nothing. She was gone. He sat up quickly. What? What just happened? He asked himself. He touched his chest. His shirt was dry, but something was strange. He pulled it up. There, glowing softly on his skin, was a mark. It looked like a circle with lines around it. Like a sun, but not quite. It was not a tattoo. It felt warm to the touch. John stood up and looked around. There were no footprints. No signs of anyone. Just silence. He walked out of the alley and back onto the street. People were walking by. Cars were moving. The world looked normal. But John didn't feel normal. He felt different, stronger, warmer, alive. As he walked, he heard a whisper in his mind. "I gave you my heat. Now you carry a piece of me." He stopped. "Who said that?" He asked aloud. No one looked at him. He looked up at the sky. The sun was shining, but it didn't feel like that was what kept him warm. It was her. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why did she help him? Was she human? He didn't know, but something told him this was not the end. It was just the beginning. John could not stop thinking about the strange woman. He walked the city streets like a ghost, trying to remember her face. Her glowing eyes, her warm touch, the way she had hugged him on that freezing night. But most of all, he kept thinking about the mark. It was still there, glowing softly on his chest, just over his heart. A circle with 3 lines coming out, almost like a sun or a symbol from another world. It did not hurt. It felt warm, like a small heater inside his body. Every time he looked at it, he felt 2 things: comfort and fear. "What are you?" he whispered to the mark. It didn't answer, but something else did. As he walked past the dark alley, he suddenly heard a voice inside his head. "You carry my warmth now." But that warmth is not free. John froze. He looked around. No one was there. The street was empty. "Don't be afraid," the voice said again. "I did not hurt you. I saved you." John's heart raced. His hands shook. He leaned against the wall and took deep breaths. "Who are you?" he asked aloud. "Where are you?" Silence, but the mark on his chest glowed brighter for a second. Then dimmed. John spent the rest of the day looking for her. He walked past old buildings, train stations, tunnels. Every time he saw someone lying in a corner or wrapped in a blanket, he slowed down, but none of them had glowing eyes. None of them were her. That night he went back to the alley where he had woken up. He checked the ground. The snow was gone, but there was something strange on the wall nearby. Symbol. It was the same as the mark on his chest, drawn in chalk on the brick wall. The same glowing sun design. But there was something new. An arrow pointing left. John followed it. It led to another wall. With the same symbol and another arrow, then another, he followed these signs for blocks, through narrow streets and broken fences. Finally, he reached an old building with a half-broken door. The symbol was on the door too, but this time, it was glowing faintly in the dark. John pushed the door. It creaked open. Inside, the air was warm, too warm for an empty place. The lights didn't work, but the hall was lit by soft blue orbs. Hanging in the air. They floated. Like little stars. John walked slowly. Hello? He called out. No answer. Then, from behind a wall, someone stepped forward. It was her. The woman from that night, but she looked weaker now. Her skin was paler. Her eyes were still glowing, but less than before. You followed the signs, she said. Her voice was soft and calm. You left them for me? She nodded. You were meant to find me again. John stepped closer. What did you do to me? I saved your life, she said. But I also gave you something. She pointed at the mark on his chest. That is not just heat. It is my core energy. A part of me is inside you now. John felt cold again, but this time it was fear, not weather. Why me? Because I had no choice, she said, looking tired. And because you are more than you think. What do you mean? She didn't answer right away. She looked up at the floating orbs, then she said, My name is Lyra. I come from a planet far from here. I was running from enemies. I crashed on Earth and I was dying. But you saved me. I did, she said, because you were dying too. Our bodies are different, but heat is life for both of us. I gave you my energy to keep you alive. John looked at her. So now I carry your alien power? Lyra smiled weakly. Not? Power, a connection. Suddenly a noise came from outside, a loud engine. Lyra's face changed. They're here. Who? The ones chasing me, she said. They followed my signal. John looked at the door. Lights were flashing. Outside, not police. Something else. He turned to Lyra. What do we do? We run, she said. John grabbed her arm and helped her move. She was weak, but still warm. They ran through the back of the building, through a broken window into the dark alleyways of the city. Behind them, shadows moved. Strange figures in black suits followed, scanning the streets. John looked at Lyra. As they ran, why do they want you so badly? Lyra looked at him with serious eyes. They don't just want me, she said. Now that you carry my heat, they want you too. The city was quiet, but John's heart was not. He and Lyra moved through the dark back streets, staying in the shadows. Behind them, strange lights floated above rooftops. Machines hovered, searching. The sound of deep humming filled the air. There. Getting closer, John whispered. Lyra nodded. We have little time. She looked weaker now. Her legs moved slower. Her hands shook. The warm light in her eyes was fading. Are you okay? John asked. I gave too much of my energy to you, she said. I can't stay out here for long. I need to recharge. But Earth has no place for that. John grabbed her hand. Then we find a place, somewhere safe. She looked at him, surprised. You are helping me? She asked. You helped? Me first, he said. They kept walking. A few blocks away, they found an entrance to an old train station. It had been closed for years. The stairs were cracked. The walls were covered in graffiti. But it was quiet, hidden. John led her inside. They sat in the dark, behind a broken ticket counter. Lyra took a deep breath. Her skin glowed faintly in the silence. John finally asked, What are those things chasing you? Lyra looked at him for a moment. Then she spoke. They are called trackers. Machines from my world, built to find and capture my kind. They don't stop. They don't sleep. And now, because of me, they will come for you too. John leaned back against the wall. Great, he muttered. I was just a freezing guy 2 days ago. Now I'm running from space robots. Lyra gave a small smile. But why you? John asked. Why are they after you? Lyra's smile faded. She looked down. I was not always like this, she said. On my planet, I was someone important. A protector, a heat bearer. We were trained to share life energy, like I did with you. John listened carefully. There was a war, she continued. My people, we made machines to protect us. But they turned against us, the trackers. They started taking energy instead of giving it. They became hunters, she paused. I escaped. I stole a small ship and ran. Earth was the closest safe place, but now... She looked at him. I am not sure it is safe anymore. John sat. Still for a moment. So you're saying you were like a hero on your planet? Lyra shook her head. I was a soldier. Nothing more, but when I saw you that night, freezing, alone, I didn't think, I just gave what I had. John touched the mark on his chest. It was still warm. That was the first time I felt alive in years. He said. They sat in silence for a while, then Lyra looked up. John, that mark on your chest, it's not just a connection. It's a beacon. John's eyes widened. What? It sends out a soft signal, she said. That's how I found you again. But now, the trackers can find it too. John jumped to his feet. Then we can't stay here. I can block it, she said quickly. But I need something with strong power, a source. Earth tech? John thought hard. Then he remembered something. There's an old science lab. Underground, near the river. They shut it down after an accident. It still has power lines, I think. Lyra's eyes lit up slightly. That could work. John helped her up. Then let's go. The way to the lab was long. They passed old tunnels, broken streets, and empty buildings. The city felt abandoned in those parts. Like no one had walked there in years. As they moved, John noticed something strange. The air near Lyra shimmered. Like heat waves, every time she touched metal, it glowed faintly. Lights flickered. Doors unlocked without keys. You're still using your power, he said. Lyra nodded. I cannot stop it. It's part of me. Finally, they reached the old lab. The gate was rusted shut, but when John touched it, the mark on his chest lit up with a loud click. The gate opened. Lyra stared at him. That wasn't me. That was you. John looked down at his hand, then at her. What does that mean? It means, she said slowly, the energy I gave you is growing. Inside, the lab was dark but warm. Machines were covered in dust, but many were still working. Old screens blinked to life when Lyra stepped in. She walked to a main console and touched it. The room lit up with blue light. John looked around in awe. It's like magic, Lyra smiled weakly. It's science. Just different from yours. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. The lights around her grew brighter. For a moment, she looked stronger, alive again. But then, boom! The ground shook. Something had landed outside. John ran to the broken window. His heart dropped. Black machines, 3 of them. Floating, humming. Trackers. Double quotes. They found us, he said. Lyra turned toward him. Her eyes bright again. Then this time, she said, we fight. Asterisk. The floor trembled again. Dust fell from the ceiling. John and Lyra stood in the center of the abandoned lab. Outside, the hum of the trackers grew louder. Sharp, cold, metallic. They found us, John whispered. Lyra didn't move. Her eyes were glowing brighter now, like twin blue stars. She had used the lab's energy to recharge, but she was still weak. Not ready for a fight. They'll break in, she said softly. We have 3 minutes, maybe less. John looked around the lab. Then what do we do? Lyra walked to a control panel. We open the old escape tunnel. It leads to the underground subway. She pressed her palm against the panel. The wall behind them opened with a deep clang. A narrow tunnel appeared, dark, dusty, and cold. Lyra grabbed John's hand. No time to fear, she said. We run now or we die here. They jumped into the tunnel just as a red light flashed inside the lab. The trackers had entered. One of them scanned the room with a beam of red light. It stopped at the place where John had stood seconds ago. The beam turned blue, target locked. John and Lyra ran through the narrow tunnel. It was dark, but blue orbs floated ahead, lighting their way. Lyra was creating them, small balls of heat energy, floating like fireflies. John breathed hard. Behind them, he heard the screech of metal. "They're in the tunnel!" he shouted. Lyra turned and raised her hand. A wave of heat exploded behind. Then the tunnel shook, pipes burst. Steam filled the space. It slowed the trackers. "But only for a moment. They don't stop," she said. "Neither will we," John replied. They reached an old subway platform. The rails were covered in rust. Everything smelled like mold and oil. John saw a broken train to the left. A perfect hiding place, but Lyra pointed right. "This way." "How do you know?" She smiled faintly. "I mapped this city last night. I had to know where to run." They kept going. As they passed a broken vending machine, John saw a reflection in the glass, a tracker. Right behind them. Before he could speak, the machine exploded. Thrown aside by the machine's metal arm, Lyra pushed John forward. "Go!" John tripped and rolled. The tracker aimed at Lyra. A sharp rod came out of its arm, glowing red. Lyra raised her hand. A blast of heat shot out, melting the rod in midair, but she staggered. "Lyra!" John ran back and grabbed her. "I'm fine," she said, but her voice was weak. They turned a corner and found a metal ladder. It went up through a maintenance shaft. John looked at her. "Can you climb?" "I must." They climbed together. As they reached the top, the tracker's arm reached up. Grabbing the bottom of the ladder, John kicked it off. They reached the surface. A back alley near a destroyed warehouse. The city was still asleep, but not for long. They hid inside the warehouse, behind rusted machines. Lyra sat down and closed her eyes. John watched her. Her face was pale again. Her glow was fading. "You're dying," he said. She opened her eyes. "Not yet, but soon." "There must be something I can do," he said. She looked at him carefully. "You don't understand yet," she said. "The energy I gave you, it's not just mine now, it's yours too. You can use it." John shook his head. "I'm not like you." Lyra reached out and placed her hand over the mark on his chest. "You are more than human now," she said. "You carry heat, you carry light. You are a bearer like I was." The mark glowed under her touch. Suddenly, the floor shook again. "They're tracking us," Lyra said. "Even without signal. They sense the heat inside you now." John stood. "Then I'll lead them away." Lyra looked at him with alarm. "No, I'll run. You hide. You said they want the heat." "Let them chase it." She stared at him. "You'll die." John smiled sadly. "I almost died 2 nights ago. This time I'm choosing how." Lyra stood slowly. She reached into her coat and pulled out a small silver crystal. "What is that?" "A pulse shard," she said. "It boosts your energy, but only once. Use it wisely." He nodded. She handed it to him, and for a moment their hands touched. Warm. Connected. Alive. John ran out into the street. The shard in his pocket burned softly. The mark on his chest glowed like a small sun. Above him, 2 trackers flew through the clouds. They saw him, locked on. They began to descend, fast like hunters from the sky. John didn't stop running. He ran past cars, down alleys, across rooftops. His feet moved faster than ever. His heart beat like thunder, and all around him, lights flickered. Street lamps, signs, traffic lights. They all blinked in rhythm with the energy in his chest. John was not just running, he was pulling power. Far behind, Lyra watched from a window, her eyes filled with light again, not because she had more energy, but because she finally saw it. The heat inside him was growing. He was no longer the frozen human from that night. He was becoming something else. The city lights flickered behind John as he ran. The glowing mark on his chest was brighter now, pulsing like a second heart. The pulse shard in his pocket vibrated softly, as if it could feel what was coming. 2 trackers flew close behind, scanning him with red beams. John didn't stop. He felt no fear, no cold, no pain. Only heat, raw, rising heat building in his veins like fire looking for a way out. His breath came out in clouds, but his body burned from the inside. He didn't know where he was going, but something inside him did. Lyra watched from the warehouse rooftop. Her face was pale, her energy low, but her eyes didn't blink. "He's learning," she whispered. She closed her eyes, reached out with her mind, and felt it, John's heat signature. Glowing, growing, alive. "Good," she said softly. "You feel it now, don't you?" John turned sharply into an abandoned park. The ground was frozen, the grass dead. But when he stepped on it, it sizzled beneath his feet. The first tracker swooped down. It launched a metal spear, fast as lightning. John spun without thinking. His hand moved on its own, a burst of red-orange light shot from his palm. Boom. The spear melted in midair. The tracker pulled back. Hovering above, scanning again, John stared at his hand. It was glowing. I did that, he said, shocked. Then the second tracker came. It dropped down behind him, grabbing his shoulder with a claw made of black steel. But the moment it touched him, SZZZZZZ. Heat surged from John's body like an explosion. The tracker screamed in static and dropped him, its armor smoking. John rolled, then stood quickly, his hands glowing with orange light. "You want my heat?" he said. "Take it." He lifted both hands, and the mark on his chest flared. A wave of fire burst out, not real fire, but energy. Hot and bright like the sun, the trackers flew back, sensors blinking wildly. They weren't ready for this. John ran again, deep underground. Something else stirred, a dark room. Walls covered in alien tech. Machines clicked, scanned, adjusted. Inside a glass chamber floated something. Or someone. Wires ran through its body. Its eyes were closed. Its heart slow. A screen blinked on. Subject identified. Hybrid signature. Detected. Human host activated. Phase 2. Begin retrieval. John reached an old water tower. He climbed to the top, breathing hard. The city was quiet now. The sky was turning orange. Sunrise. He looked down at his glowing hands. "What am I becoming?" he whispered. He didn't feel normal anymore. His body moved faster. His skin was warm even in freezing air. And the mark on his chest wasn't just heat. It was power. He pulled the pulse shard from his pocket. It glowed bright blue. "Use it wisely," Lyra had said, but John didn't know how to use anything. It was all happening too fast. Suddenly he heard a voice, not from outside, but inside his mind. "You are not only human now, you are a bridge." John stood still. "Who's there?" he asked. The voice replied, "We see you. We feel the heat. You carry what was once forbidden. You are not the first, but you may be the last." John's knees felt weak. "Am I dying?" "No, you are awakening." Then the voice faded. Back at the warehouse, Lyra climbed down. Her energy was fading fast. She looked up as a child stepped into the building, a street kid, dirty, alone. Same one John had seen before, but his eyes, they glowed. Lyra froze. "You're not human," she said. The child smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "I'm not here to hurt you," the child said. His voice echoed deep and strange. "But you broke the code. You gave energy to a human. That changes everything." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "Who are you?" The boy tilted his head. "I am one of the Watchers," he said. "We observe." "We." Record, we do not act unless balance is broken. Lyra stood tall. "And you think I broke the balance?" "You made him more than he should be," the boy said. "Now others will come, not just trackers, worse things." Lyra clenched her fist. Then we'll face them," the boy smiled again. "Good, you'll need all the help you can get." Then he vanished into thin air, like smoke in the wind. John sat on the edge of the water tower, looking at the sunrise. His body still glowed faintly. He didn't know what he was anymore. Not just human. Not fully alien, something in between. The heat inside him was no longer just Lyra's gift. It was his now, and someone, somewhere, didn't want that. Far above the earth, in the black cold of space, a massive ship turned. Its captain stared at a blinking red dot on the screen. "Target, activated hybrid, Earth zone." The captain smiled. "Prepare to enter orbit." Asterisk, the sun had fully risen, but John felt no warmth from it. He stood in the middle of a dead road, surrounded by silence. The heat inside him still glowed, but he no longer trusted it. Too many things were happening. Too fast, too strange. I'm not who I was, he whispered. He looked down at his hands. A faint shimmer danced over his skin like light from deep. Water, the mark on his chest was quiet now, waiting. Then he heard a voice from behind. John? He turned quickly. A man stepped out from an alley, brown coat, black gloves. A tired but familiar face. It was Mike, John's old friend. From before everything went wrong? Mike? John blinked. How did you find me? Mike gave a small smile. Same old John, you always disappear when things get weird. John stepped closer. You weren't answering my calls. Months ago. Mike looked down. I know, I was ashamed. I didn't know how to help you back then. John looked at him carefully. Something felt off too easy. Too perfect. Still, part of him wanted to believe. I've changed, John said quietly. Mike nodded. I know, I saw what happened downtown, the heat, the machines. You saw that? I've been watching, Mike said. Not just me. Others too. John stepped back slightly. Others? Mike looked up. Come with me, I can explain. There's a place, safe, hidden. We have answers. They drove in silence, through broken streets and empty neighborhoods. Lyra had warned him. Now that you carry my heat, they will want you too. John kept glancing at Mike's hands on the steering wheel. Calm, too calm. Finally, they stopped in front of an old power station. Here? John asked. Mike nodded. It's off-grid, no satellites. They can't find us here. Inside, the place looked abandoned, wires, rust, shadows, but something felt alive underneath. Lights blinked on slowly as they walked. You knew I'd survive, John said. I had a feeling, Mike replied. That woman, she gave you something powerful, John turned. Who told you about her? Mike smiled, but not in a friendly way. I never stopped watching you, John, even after. We stopped talking. John's breath caught. That's when he saw it, on Mike's wrist. A small black band. With blinking red dots, tracker tech. His heart sank. You're with them. Mike's smile faded. I'm not your enemy, John. I'm trying to protect Earth. John stepped back. You lied to me. You brought me here so they can take me. It's not about you anymore, Mike said. It's what's inside you. That heat, it's not natural. It's alien. It could change everything. John's eyes flared. The mark on his chest glowed. It saved me. It made me alive again. It's not yours to keep. Mike said. Then John heard footsteps. Machines. Trackers. They entered from behind the old turbines. Cold, silent, ready. John raised his hands. They glowed bright orange now, hotter than before. Mike held up a small device. Don't fight, John. Just let us scan it. We can take it out? John's voice was low and steady. No. Meanwhile, Lyra moved through a tunnel beneath the city. She had felt it, the change. John's light was shifting. Growing, but surrounded, she whispered to herself, they found him. Her hands glowed softly as she touched a wall. A hidden door opened. Inside, she stepped into a dark control room. Screens lit up, showing the city, street by street. She found him, the power station. I'm coming. John, she said. At the station. Mike stepped forward slowly. Please don't make this harder. John's fists were glowing now, brighter than ever. You were my friend, he said. I trusted you. I still am your friend, Mike said, but I can't let you become something dangerous. John's voice broke. I didn't ask. For this, I know. Mike lowered his hand. I'm sorry. But it was too late. The tracker behind him raised its arm. Beam shot toward John. John reacted. Time slowed. He didn't dodge. He absorbed. The beam hit his chest and vanished into light. The room exploded with heat. Trackers flew backward. Mike fell to the ground, shielding his face. When he looked up, John was standing in the center of a glowing storm. His body was surrounded by a halo of fire. His voice echoed, no longer weak. I am not yours to control. He raised his hand. The mark on his chest flashed. One by one. The trackers froze. Their systems overloaded. Boom. They shut down. Dead. John turned toward Mike, but before he could speak, Lyra arrived, stepping through a side door. Her face was calm, but her voice was steel. "You betrayed him," she said to Mike. Mike stood slowly. "I thought I was protecting humanity." "You feared what you couldn't control?" Lyra said. "That's not protection. That's fear dressed as safety." John looked at Mike and walked away. "I'm not your weapon," he said. "I'm not your experiment." Lyra followed him. Mike stood alone in the silence. Surrounded by the dead machines, outside the air was cold again, but John felt nothing but heat. Lyra touched his shoulder. "You chose well." John didn't speak. He looked at the sky above. In the clouds, something moved, a shape, a ship bigger than anything he'd ever seen. He pointed. Lyra's eyes widened. "They're here." John nodded slowly, then let them come. The sky opened like a wound. Above the city, clouds swirled in strange shapes. Lightning crackled with no thunder. And then the ship came. It was not built for war. It was war. Dark, silent, wide as a stadium. Floating just above the tallest buildings, people looked up from windows. Cars stopped. Dogs howled, but deep below in the abandoned power station, John and Lyra already knew. "They found me," she said quietly. John shook his head. "No, they found me." He looked down at his chest. The mark was no longer just glowing. It was burning, like fire behind his skin. Lyra touched his shoulder. "They will not talk," she said. "They will take. That's what they do." John looked at her. "Then we stop them. Together." She hesitated. "You still don't understand. This heat inside you, it's not meant to last. Your body is changing too fast. Too much power." John's voice was calm. "Then I'll burn for something." Outside, light poured down from the ship. A beam. It struck the city center and created a portal of blue light. From it, they came. Not machines, not soldiers. Collectors. Tall, silver-skinned creatures with no eyes. No mouths, just glowing blue veins and thin fingers made of metal and light. They did not speak. They simply pointed and began to move toward the signal, toward John. Inside, Lyra was building something from old wires and alien pieces she had hidden. John sat beside her. "I thought this was about saving you," he said. "But it's bigger, Lyra. Didn't stop working. It was never just about me. My people died running. Yours doesn't even know what's coming." She paused. "But you changed everything. You weren't just saved. You awoke." John looked at his hands. They flickered with warm light. "Then maybe this was always supposed to happen." Lyra handed him a small crystal cube. "This holds the last of my original core. If it breaks, I vanish completely." John's heart dropped. "You're giving it to me? You'll need it," she said. "If the collectors reach the mark on your chest, they will copy it. They'll build thousands more. You must not let that happen." Outside, the ground trembled. The collectors had reached the block. Their bodies shimmered in and out of view, glitching reality as they moved. Inside, the mark on John's chest pulsed faster. Lyra gasped. "They've locked onto you." John stood. The heat inside him had reached its peak. His skin felt like it was glowing under pressure. He held the cube tightly. "Then I have to end this," he said. Lyra stepped forward. "You won't survive?" John looked at her and smiled. "I didn't survive that night in the snow, remember? I started living after that." She looked down. "You were just a man, but now," he nodded, "now I'm the flame." John stepped outside. The street was silent. Then the collectors saw him. All movement stopped. Their heads turned toward him as one. John raised his hand. A wave of heat rolled out. Soft, not angry. "I'm not running anymore," he said. The collectors moved together. Lyra watched from a rooftop, holding a small device. "Come on, John," she whispered. "Just one chance." The collectors surrounded him. The leader stepped forward, tall, glowing like a star. Its fingers reached toward John's chest, but as it touched the mark, everything changed. The mark exploded in light. A circle of energy blasted outward, throwing all the collectors back. The heat wasn't just in John now. It was John. He held up the crystal Lyra had given him and crushed it. The energy inside it surged through him and into the sky. Above, the ship reacted. It tried to close its portal. Too late. A column of pure light shot upward from John's chest, straight into the clouds. It cracked through the ship's armor like a spear made of the sun. Boom. The ship shook. Sparks flew. Pieces broke off and crashed to the earth, one by one. The collectors began to flicker, their forms losing shape. The copied signal was gone. The connection was broken. The heat was never theirs to take. When the light faded, the street was empty. No collectors. No ship. Just silence. Lyra ran toward the center of the blast. She looked around, then dropped to her knees. John was gone. Only a faint shimmer of warm light hovered above the ground, and a single burned mark. The same symbol. Still warm, still glowing. Days passed. News called it a strange storm. Government said nothing, but in quiet corners of the world, people whispered about a boy made of fire who saved a city, a hero with no name, a warmth that would never be forgotten. Far from Earth, in the deep black of space, a message floated between stars, a voice, Lyra's voice. To those who listen, humanity is not weak. One man stood in the cold and became heat. Remember him, remember the fire. He was once just a freezing human, but in the end, he became the final flame.